All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live with you on America Talks Live. And as I said yesterday, I'm Steve Malzberg. You are America. So we want to hear from you at 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. Live television, we're establishing our contact with Curt Schilling, three-time World Series champ, Major League Baseball MVP, host of a new show we'll talk about. But he's been through so much. He was most recently working with ESPN, got suspended, then let go, because he is a victim of the politically correct double standard that exists in media that we talk about on this show all the time. All the time. So as soon as we get to Curt Schilling, and now he's under attack from Jewish groups. Okay, let me say hello, and I've been waiting a long time to do this, to Curt Schilling. And as I mentioned, a new show, Whatever It Takes, on the Breitbart News Network. Curt, congratulations with that, sir.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. And I got to tell you, notwithstanding the bloody sock and the whole thing, I've never been a bigger fan of yours than when you speak your mind, tweeted out what you tweeted out, retweeted what you retweeted, and got in trouble and stood up to the trouble you got into. You were and have been at ESPN, I believe, a victim of, as I just said before we got you, the horrific double standard that exists in media and in this country.
Well, it's hard for me to talk about that in the context of being a victim, because I kind of made my own bed from a certain perspective. But at the end of the day, it's the world we live in now. I mean, you've seen that. You saw it with Tim Tebow and Colin Kaepernick. You've seen it with the media in the presidential race. If you're a liberal, if you espouse liberal viewpoints, then everybody wants to hear you in the media. If you don't, then you're a racist, a bigot, whatever, transphobe, homophobic. I don't know.
You're a deplorable, Curt. You're in the basket full of deplorables. Look at Joe Biden. Look at Joe Biden. He wants to take Donald Trump out and have a fight with him. And everybody on the left thinks, oh, that's so great. That's why people love Joe Biden. If Trump said it, he'd be, they'll be locking him up.
Well, the same creepy Joe Biden who puts his hands on everybody and is like feely touchy, grossly uncomfortable guy, So I take it for what it's worth.
All right, so let me ask you this as we move along here. You've come under fire also from some Jewish groups. Now, I'm Jewish, and I saw the interview you did with Jake Tapper. And all you said to him is what people say to me all the time, and Curt, what I say to my Jewish friends all the time. How the heck could you, as a Jew, support Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party? And you would have thought you were praising Hitler. They're all after you now.
Well,
why?
I don't say Jew. Saying Jew makes me feel uncomfortable. I asked Jake Tapper, as a man of Jewish faith, why he clearly made it clear to me that he doesn't vote in the presidential elections, which I didn't know. But I always have found, I have a neighbor who lives right down the street who's a brilliantly smart guy, and I ask often. I talk to him a lot about the history of the Jewish state and the history of the plight of the Jewish people, and I like to understand why things happen. So instead of relying on the media, which is clearly askew and in the tank for liberal ideas and liberal narratives, I felt like asking someone of the Jewish faith why they vote, why they have voted considerably more Democrat, and it's been forever. I didn't realize it was as huge of a lean as it was, number one, and how long it's been. That Jewish people of Jewish faith, because the Democratic Party is, this is the party that founded the KKK. They are anti-Israel. This administration, the only reason I feel like they've done anything with Israel is because there were agreements in place before Obama got in, because I don't think he would have carried out any of that had he not already been kind of handcuffed to it. But this party has been anti-Israel. They call it ISIL, the Levant of ISIL. The L in ISIL is Levant, includes Israel, which is why they say it. I think it's a slight at Israel to begin with. Israel doesn't harbor terrorism. Israel harbors people who are trying to survive on a stretch of land smaller than New Jersey.
Yep.
Against the entire Middle East.
Yep. And you go back all the way to Bill Clinton. He tried to give away half of Israel to Yasser Arafat, the biggest killer of Jews since Hitler, only Arafat wouldn't take it.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing.
So
but it's
you would,
also,
Kurt. So I mean, you don't get this though, do you? I mean, you didn't say anything wrong to Tapper. I don't think
no,
you
no,
did.
no, no. No, and here's the thing. Anytime you start to become something in the media that you're not, you realize the narrative's getting skewed. I'm starting to understand and feel a little bit of what it might be like to run for political office. The media has no accountability. They get to say and do whatever they feel like saying. And listen, how many times have you heard Ivanka Trump had to answer for her father's comments? And on the other side of the coin, how many times have you heard Chelsea Clinton been asked about her father being a rapist or a sexual assault?
Never, 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 never.
Because that's not how the game works for them.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know a lot about games, and you're in a new one now. But let's talk about running for political office. And I heard you say that it's going to be up to your family. You're going to sit down and talk to them. When will you make that decision? When will the talks begin? And when will you say, okay, in my own mind, I now know, whether you tell us or not at that point, whether or not you'll go after Elizabeth Warren's seat in the U.S. Senate?
Well, unlike a lot of the fraudulent men in this country, in this world, the spineless ones, I'm married to a woman I actually care about, whose opinion matters to me, and to a family I want to be on board. So I'm going to let my family help me make that decision. None of these decisions like this should be up to one person, because the liberal media has made it very clear to me that conservative families are fair game for people that run for office. And so were I to run for office, I think it would be naive for me to think that I could go in and do so and my family and my wife wouldn't be affected. But at the end of the day, it will be a family decision. We will have that discussion, because it will take, I don't know what the word is, maybe thicker skin on behalf of my family because of the things that might happen. I think one of the issues one of the things two things I think that would give me an advantage over Elizabeth Warren. One, I have no skeletons in my closet other than I probably said bad words in the past, which I probably will say in the future. But there won't be a child from another marriage. There won't be a family. There won't be a second family. I won't have a DUI or DWI or a drug charge in my past. I've done and said stupid things, but I've done and said them in the context of being a flawed human being, which is a Christian I know I am, number one. And number two, I have my word still. My word still means something and matters to me, and it has value, which I don't think a lot of politicians that I can think of do. Trey Gowdy, maybe, but not many of them can I look in and listen to and say, okay, I buy that. I'm tired of it. And so, that would be, listen, running for, I've already been, I guess, famous. I was part of 3 world champions. I've got the notoriety and the fame that comes with all of those things. I'm not after any of that anymore. I don't want that. What I want to do is I want to be in a country and live in a country and raise my family in a country that believes in something and that stands for something. And that's not happening right now. We're going the other way. The farther away we've gotten from God and the farther away we've gotten from the family values. I used to eat dinner with my family every single night, not because I wanted to, but because that was the rule and the reason. That's why our families were so close. Now you have one-parent families. You have latchkey kids who are being raised by a public school system that sucks and by a television. And that's I think one of the reasons why we are where we are.
Yeah, no, I could not agree with you more. And the left and a Hillary presidency will just perpetuate all of those things. Let me ask you, I don't want to let you get away without asking you, this is kind of a novel World Series when you have 2 teams, one that hasn't won since '48 and one that hasn't won since 1908. A game apiece. The Cubs had the edge coming in, people said. After Game 1, a lot of people said, oh, well, now it's the Indians. What do you think we're going to see in the remaining 5 games?
I think we're going to see the fans do the same exact thing after every one. It's the first World Series in my lifetime that I don't really that I'm not rooting for a specific team. Terry Francona, Brad Mills, the bench coach in Cleveland, the Cleveland organization are I love them to death. The fans in Cleveland are amazing baseball fans. It's a city that's starving for a World Series, and so that would be a great finish. On the other side, Theo Epstein, John Lester, David Ross, Jed Hoyer, people I love and respect on the Cubs side. Joe Madden I've known since I was 16 years old. My thought at the end of the day, my prayer is that it goes 7 games. We get a World Series that we can never forget because somebody's curse is getting broken. and I'm going to be excited either way that happens. I just want to see good baseball for this.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Good baseball. Curt, listen, I hope you'll come back. I'm a big fan. I respect you, and you got a long road ahead of you, and it's all going to be good. Check out the new show, Whatever It Takes, on Breitbart News. Curt Schilling, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, very interesting. I've been tweeting to Curt for a while, and ever since he got, in a little trouble with ESPN, and I do admire him greatly. The polls are getting tighter in all the critical swing states, and people who wrote off Trump's chances could be in for a surprise in 2 weeks. We're going to discuss the numbers and dissect the numbers like a frog in science lab with our political panel. It's next. Don't go away.